it's a concept until it's lived, and then once it becomes lived, it becomes a reality.
Yeah, okay.
So we've got to be prepared to let go of thinking we know it. So in the world, especially in this world and this day and age, we can Google something and we can be an expert. We can be an armchair expert at everything. Right? So it's like telling a football coach that they don't know how to coach their team. Have you ever coached a team? An elite sporting team? No, you haven't.
Hello and welcome to Uncovered, the podcast with your host, Jason Irving. Join me in a journey to understand what's truly happening in your world and the world around you. This is not about how you're living life on the surface. It's about what's truly driving you from under the covers. I'm going to take you on a journey to deeply uncover the reason why you are here, the ultimate purpose in your problems, and the way that they have shaped your life up until now. See, I believe you have a purpose, and your problems are the highway towards ultimate realization of that journey toward freedom and the reconnection of your true self. I've been told I have a different spin on most things, and I'll be giving you my understanding of life, love, and what we're all here for, purpose. To get the best out of this podcast, drop what you already know so you can discover what's beyond you. So join me, let's play this game of life and bring on liberation, transformation, and change. Let's do this.
Hi Jason, how are you today?
Pretty good, and how are you?
I'm good too, thank you. So we're doing our last podcast episode on our leadership model about awareness.
Yeah, so awareness is the catalyst for the whole top of the model, and if you look at the model, we'll put it on in the show notes. It talks about awareness being the most important part. It's not really. Courage is. So right down the bottom, our first lot of podcasts around this leadership model is courage. So you can have as much awareness as you want. If you don't have the courage to actually take the steps with your awareness, what's the point in being aware? Right? So even though it's hugely important, courage is the fundamental principle that we need. So this is where we have to understand something really, really important, that a lot of the people who have the most courage in the world don't necessarily have the most awareness. Right? So they take steps, they're willing to put themselves out there, they're showing what they can do, and anyone can be a billionaire. Anyone can be a billionaire. If you don't have the awareness of what your choices are going to be, you can actually create a huge effect on this planet, a huge effect on people. And it's so important that we learn to become aware. I was just on a podcast with a guy called Marcus. We just recorded one just then. We were talking about spirituality. Now, it's one of those words that actually grinds people's gears. You know, you have spirituality with religion, and there's a lot of people who really struggle with religion, and there's a lot of people who look at spirituality and think it's a whole bunch of weirdos talking in a language that doesn't make any sense. It's English, but it's in Japanese. So the awareness comes at a really important cost. You have to be really aware of one important thing, which is your ego. Because if you are not taming or looking at your ego constantly, then you might end up thinking that you're aware when you're actually ignorant.
So I guess they kind of like influence each other as well, courage and awareness.
Yeah, they do.
You could have more awareness and then having more courage and taking steps based upon that awareness, or you could have more courage and then actually gain more awareness as well through that courage.
Yeah, and I think this is really, really important. There's a lot of people who have awareness, they don't move. Yeah. And that's a problem. So there's a lot of very wise, stagnant people out in the world, and I've been called out with a good human that I really, really love. His name's Jackson. He's been on my podcast as well. And he called me out and he said, "You know, you're playing too small, Jason." And I've been in business for 21 years, and he was right. Now, I could have gotten really pissed off with some of the things that he was saying to me. At the end of the day, my awareness was able to hear the information without thinking, oh God, Jackson's saying stuff to me and it's insulting. You know, because in business, I've been in business longer than most people. I've been in business longer than him. Mm-hmm. An aware person is not going to look at age, is not going to look at longevity, is going to look at what's been said. Mm-hmm. And if someone says something that's really, really smart or really, really wise, the aware person is going to hear that information and understand its importance. And a lot of people will look at other people and say, well, if you're not living the life that I want to lead, then what's the point in me listening to you? Mm. And I think that is the fool's game. So I may not be the wealthiest guy around the traps. I may not be the most organised guy around the traps, you know that. One thing I have HD with honours with is awareness. People come to see me because I see things that people can't see. Mm-hmm. I can do things that a lot of people can't do in certain areas. There's a lot of things I can't do. So the aware person doesn't think that they can do it all on their own.
So awareness is gained not just by you, like from yourself, from your own realizations, but also through what the feedback that other people give you?
100%. And this is the big mistake with experience. The true aware person is going to be looking and gaining guidance consistently in their life to get better. Mm-hmm. And you are never the expert. You're always working on yourself to become more able to get feedback on and trust your own feedback loop. It's not about just taking external opinions on, it's about using your internal feedback loop mm-hmm. to get information and use your awareness to figure out what to do. So imagine if you've been doing something for 30 years mm-hmm. and you have this amazing awareness of what you do. But what if you realised what you were doing was fundamentally flawed? And you had a moment where you realised it wasn't right. Mm-hmm. You found another angle. How would you feel about yourself if you spent all this time talking about something that didn't make sense to you anymore?
Oh, I think you would feel a little bit like ashamed in a way. At least I would be like, oh my God, I told people something and it's maybe not true, or maybe it's not the whole truth or something, you know. So then, I mean, you can't obviously go back and say like,
I was wrong.
I was wrong, and I had, you know, but you can say like, I have more awareness now, I have a different angle. But that's one of the reasons you would feel a little bit silly, I think, sometimes.
Yeah, and look, if you think about this from a logical perspective though, if you, where I was 5 or 10 years ago, what I talk about and how I communicate is very, very different because my awareness has changed. Mm-hmm. So at the time, you're able to give the information at the time you're able to. Mm-hmm. But then when you have a flip, the important thing is actually knowing how to flip things on its edge, right? And when you're able to do that, things change because you flip things on their edge and you get another way of looking at things. So one thing I've learned from working in personal development for such a long period of time, I've quite often looked at what's not working. Mm-hmm. And I'm pretty logical. So if something's not working, then it obviously doesn't work. Right? Mm-hmm. So it's like looking at let's say the psychology area. If it was working, everyone would be psychologically well. Mm-hmm. That's logic, right? It's fundamentally flawed. It's not working. Mm-hmm. The system's not working. You have to give people drugs because that's the only way that you can sort someone out who's on the extreme. Mm-hmm. With awareness, I had an experience with a lady, been 12 years in the model of psychology. In 6 weeks, she's fine. 6 weeks with me. Mm-hmm. And she sent me a message saying, if only I had have known this when I was a small child, things would have been different for my life. But she only found me when she found me.
Exactly.
And my
awareness
was able to pinpoint and understand where she was at and why she was at and what she was doing while she was doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when you've actually got the awareness. You're able to see a little bit beyond what's going on. Now, I'm really good at reading between the lines, aren't I?
Yep.
So last
you may
week,
have done that a few times.
last week I sort of explained something that you were frustrated with, and I explained the whole picture and the reason for it.
And it made so much sense, and I was like, this changes everything.
Yeah. And so from being pissed off to understanding, and you could have just walked away just saying this and this and this and this was annoying. And I gave you the whole reason and the rhyme for what you do, what the other person does, the reason for it happening, and the picture of it for your life. Now, one thing that you said to me last week is that there's still more that you know about me, and there is. But with awareness comes responsibility. If I gave you everything that I know about what you are and what you can do, it'd be like a lead balloon, because you wouldn't be able to hold it.
And I probably run away as well.
Well, that's what people usually do. I've learned that. I've learned that mistake. Telling someone how great what they could do and how brilliant they are, also their frailties. If you say something too early, people can't handle it. And so I've made that mistake so many times. So being aware comes at a cost. I am really good at seeing everyone's problems laid out in front of me. I also see their solutions. You know what I've realised? People don't want to actually have the solutions. Most people don't. They would rather stay stuck.
It's more comfortable.
It is. And so what do you do as a leader when you've got awareness and you actually want someone to move, and they're going to get more pissed off with you than they're actually going to be happy with you? Silence. Sometimes silence is the best weapon with awareness. You give information to get people to self-realise. It's the best way to do it. If it comes out of someone else's mouth rather than yours, and then you have a big smile, then things are better. If you're constantly the person who has to give the awareness, that becomes a problem. Because people can put you in a guru space, and it's really easy for your ego to tap in and say, I'm amazing at what I do. I hate people looking up to me. I absolutely hate it. You want to know why?
Why?
I feel like I'm failing the person. I feel like every time someone says, I couldn't have done anything without you, I have to, for one thing, I'm bad at receiving feedback. So I have to breathe in that feedback of thank you. And then there's another part that I want to make sure that person's not looking at me as, I can't do without you still. So it comes down to the language that someone says, and I feel really heavy if someone is actually telling me something that means that I'm going to have to be required for their whole life.
Yeah.
Right? An aware person is going to empower people. An aware person is going to share everything that an organisation needs, sometimes at the expense of themselves. An aware person is going to be willing to give so much of themselves that they could actually do themselves out of a job.
And regarding awareness, like when you kind of explain something to one of us, and we gain some new kind of awareness. We kind of understand it logically at first. You kind of understand it a little bit in your body as well, and it kind of feels right. But then actually, like, taking it out and doing something different, doing something with it. Is there any kind of advice that you can give people regarding that? Yeah,
look, that's when it comes down to the courage again, right? So awareness is just a little thing. It doesn't really mean anything unless you do something with it.
So it's just an understanding, really.
Yeah, so it's just an understanding. So it's a concept until it's lived, and then once it becomes lived, it becomes a reality.
Yeah, okay.
So we've got to be prepared to let go of thinking we know it. So in the world, especially in this world and this day and age, we can Google something and we can be an expert. We can be an armchair expert at everything. Mm-hmm. Right? So it's like telling a football coach that they don't know how to coach their team. Have you ever coached a team? An elite sporting team? No, you haven't. Mm-hmm. So I've had a lot of people give me, advice around our academy. I take it. I also understand that they've never been in my position. Mm-hmm. Right? And so to be aware, you have to actually know experience is the best awareness that you can have. Right? And I've had experiences like people have seen me change my face into other faces. Right? Thousands of times I've done it now. So if you haven't experienced me doing that, listeners, it's a lie. It's bullshit because you haven't experienced it. Mm-hmm. So it's a concept. I remember this lady Priyanka, she probably won't listen to this podcast, but I was doing this technique, year 3 technique, to change myself into something else for everybody in the room. And she's so physical, and I was just like, I am determined to get her to see something different today. So I eyeballed her. And at the end she said, I saw something other than the new Jason. And then that gave her an experience that was something more than meets the eye, mm-hmm. than just the physical eye. And it's so important to understand now. Priyanka will be able to go through life knowing that there's far more, and she'll be able to open that doorway of being able to see and sense more in this world because she had an experience that gave her a different level of awareness that will give her a different insight to living life, just mm-hmm. by knowing that there's more to it than just our physical world. So I think one of the hardest things with awareness, Filia, is that you can have a meltdown. Because the more aware you can have, it's like Neo in the Matrix movies. I remember my first level of awareness around life was having a meltdown in corporate, where I looked at my life, I looked at the people I was around, and I was just like, it can't be just this. Mm-hmm. It can't be. And I was devastated. I was watching all these people in their suit and tie, chest beating, thinking they were amazing, and all they were programmers, that they needed to be something and important. And I was like, come on, we can't just be like this as a society. I saw fake, mm-hmm. right? And then I was just like, oh my God, there's so much fake that I couldn't handle it. And that's how I found what I do now. And then I realised what I do now, there's so much fake, right? And it doesn't matter what area of work that you do, there'll be fake everywhere. There'll be lies and deceit, there'll be stories. People don't tell the truth. Mm-hmm. And when you're aware, you can be really, really cynical of this world, that where is the truth? When are people going to do the right thing, right? So often I look and I go, and this is how it looks, guys, is that there's this amazing picture of doing your best self, your worst self, and usually in the middle is what we choose, right? And that's how it is. So I could see you, Filia, doing your worst you. I can see you doing your best you, and I can see what you do in the middle. Mm-hmm. And I look every day and every week, and I go, what's she choosing today? Mm-hmm. I'm the same. With awareness, it doesn't mean that you actually end up doing everything perfectly. No,
I guess it's not possible anyway, is it?
Well, it'd be nice if it could be. Mm-hmm. I just don't know whether we can actually understand what awareness is in its best. So imagine if you were fully aware that you were going to lose access to your daughter. You weren't going to be able to see her much. And you knew. And you were going to court to try and get access. And you knew that you were going to lose. What would you do?
Well, most people would be like, well, there's no point anyway, is there? Because I know I'm going to lose. Or, I don't know, stir up this massive fight around it or whatever they do. But yeah, you did something quite different there, didn't you?
I did. I spent $25,000 knowing I was going to lose court for one reason, and for a thing that Jazzy would never ever know, that I wanted her in my life. That had so much more meaning to me than the 25K that I was going to spend. And so sometimes with awareness, you know that something's going to happen. I'll never forget the lawyer's guy. She was so angry, and it's like she asked me why I was calm. I said I knew I was going to lose. At least Jazz knows. Because there's something else that goes along with this. She will never understand this from a physical perspective, but from an energetic perspective, she knew I cared. And this is awareness, knowing that there's more layers to your choices than meets the eye. And when you are willing to do things that are not going to support you financially, you're going to do things because they're going to be supportive, then you can understand the choices that you're going to make. Because one thing that I know with awareness is loss is the ingredient that allows you to create gain. But imagine if you're aware that you're going to not get somewhere, you'd never try. Right? So you have to understand you're not going to know everything. You're going to not have assurance. There's no such thing as certainty with awareness. You can take a path and then you can follow the path, and everything could turn into a natural born disaster. Doesn't mean it was wrong. It just means you needed to have the experience of the born disaster to learn and grow. And this is what growth and connection and experience is all about. Awareness doesn't bring you everything, the lights and the whole show. It gives you the understanding that there's something that we need to learn to grow.
And then it's about learning it and having the courage to do something different.
100%. And once we have the courage to do something different, then we win. My advice to you guys is try not to do the same thing over and over again, because when you have awareness and you're doing it over and over again, it sucks.
And also isn't like doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. That's the definition of insanity. Didn't Einstein say that?
Yeah, sure is.
Yeah.
Sure is. And we do this all the time. So listeners, if you really like this segment of our leadership model, we'll put the model in the show notes. Really, really important. Our academy is here to help people become amazing leaders. Come and jump on board. Come and have a session to find out whether we're the right fit. Because one thing that I know that the academy work has done for so many people is it turns people into brilliant people. It helps you shine a light on all the things that are stuck. It shines a light on all the things that are great in you, and it shines a light on what you can do next. So come and join us. Like and review our amazing podcast, and remember, awareness without courage means nothing.
Thank you, Jason.
All right, have a good day, guys. Thanks so much for listening to our podcast. We really appreciate you, and we really appreciate your time, because time is so valuable. What we'd love you guys to do, if you like this podcast, if you could share it with your friends, and also, our website address for the podcast is www.wellnessbreakthroughacademypodcast.com. Our website is www.wellnessbreakthroughacademy.com. We have a free Facebook group called Wellness Leadership Evolution, so search for that. I'd love it if you could add me as a friend on Facebook. I don't buy it, so add me as a friend. And if you want some help and you would really like some support from us in the Academy, jump in. We have a process. You can do a break-in call to connect in with us. We do small courses. We have lots of things that we share. So we'd love the opportunity to give you a chance to change your life and turn it into a free one. You are one transformation away from change. Come and catch up.